Okay, so I'm going to be doing a review of Game 3 of Round 5, the Doom Regionals. Me and my opponent were both 4-0, so this was like a pretty pivotal one, as we could ID into the Day 2 of the tournament if we wanted to. So this was like a win and in of sorts. I'm playing Dragapult Dusknoir, and they're playing Grimmsnarl Frostlass. They got the first game and I got the second game, so they were able to call second, which is definitely a pretty big deal in this matchup, depending on how we open. Obviously both of us want to go second. The Grimmsnarl player more so to use Team Evo, and then me to use Budew to potentially catch them if they don't have Poffins in hand, since they can't play their supporters, especially since Grimmsnarl is on such a low count of like ball search cards, that they're like so heavily reliant on their supporters to actually find them. But pretty decent opening hand here for me. I can get some Dreepies, I can get a Skull. Usually, in 90% of situations like this, obviously there's exceptions, I would just go Poffin for 2 Dreepy and Nest Ball for Skull. Just since we have no rare candies, it's good to just get, we need like Dreepies for draw, but to get the Skull evolving into the Nor is huge, because the Nor is just so much stronger than like the Dusclops in the Grimmsnarl matchup. So it's good to just get the Duskull down, get the 2 Dreepies down. Of course, you want at least 2 Dreepies. 3 is like the preferable amount, but I usually prefer to get a Skull than to get the 3rd Dreepy. So now our opponent just they start the Iron Bundle, which is a pretty good card in this matchup, as they can push the Budew to the bench and take a knockout on something more relevant, as well as taking out the Budew. So seeing the bundle start isn't exactly what we want, because now they just immediately have it in play. They don't have to like search for it, especially under item lock, where it can just be harder to do that. So fairly strong start from them. They're going to get a Frostlass, and they're going to get a Morgrim going. So pretty decent start. They're going to be able to, so I get the Drakloak. I always recon first here, as I want to see if I draw into one of my evolutions, and I would draw into the Drakloak. Wanted to do this here just to see if there's potentially other cards I want to pitch, or just seeing extra options before I Ultra Ball for the Dusclops. I think it's stronger there just to get the recons out of the way, especially when I don't have a draw supporter. And this is where I'd say the first big decision of the game comes in. A lot of people may be tempted to use Iono here, but I think using Boss on the Frostlass is the stronger play, as they're researching anyway. Force them to use research so they can't potentially Boss the Drakloak with the energy, and they're forced to just bundle and use one that doesn't. But this also forces them to waste an energy attachment on this, getting this Frostlass out of the active, over potentially setting up more monkeys, which is definitely big later down the line, and I'd honestly say is like a big part of why the game went the way it did. And they do play an air balloon, but it's just unlikely for them to hit it off of this research with 35 cards in deck. So they're gonna get the Grimmsnarl. Obviously, gonna get the Grimmsnarl before they research, just then, and then so they can get the Artisan down. Potentially, just get some monkeys going. There's the Dark, so they're forced to use their attachment for the turn to maneuver that Frostlass instead of getting an additional energy onto the Munkidoris. So here comes the Iron Bundle. I have to decide between Drakloak and Clops. I decided on Drakloak because I'm Ionoing. I'm going to see a decent amount of cards. I need to keep that Nor to potentially do some big plays on the following turns. So What I'm looking to establish more Dreepies for sure. So there's the Iono. Not the greatest hand, but it's a workable hand, and we still have some draw potentially with the Drakloak and the Fez if worse comes to worse. And not really too much help there, so just gotta bench the Fez and hopefully find an Ultra Ball or a Dragapult or a Dusknoir, and we do see that Ultra Ball. It's unfortunate that we have to commit the Neo Upper to this Drakloak that already has a Luminous. That's like honestly very, very unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then, yeah, now I can just Ultra Ball, probably with, yeah, like Nest Ball, Hawlucha, those aren't really going to be super useful right now, and just get a Dragapult. The second discard is definitely a lot tougher. It's, yeah, it's probably boss research, which just hurts. Definitely not what you want to discard here. I definitely value Iono higher than research there, since I'm not going to be taking prize cards for a little while here. A lot of players may be tempted to immediately just use the Dusknoir. It's just tempting, just take the knockout on the Grimmsnarl. But I think it's always stronger here to just save it and just set up math on these things and just play more reactively to what they do. Instead of just pitching the Dusknoir now, giving them the prize, not really giving yourself the options. I think it's always stronger to just keep the Dusknoir here. And they could boss knock out the Dusknoir, but the chances of them having one of their two bosses is just, it's pretty low, and even if they do that, they're like just not setting damage on the Pult. I think like I'm in a good spot if they do that anyway, especially because they need to potentially set up another Grimm. So there's the research. Try to get another Grimm and get some monkeys established for them. There's a super odd, probably going to put back a Grimm, a dark, yeah, that makes sense. And then I think they elect to, yeah, to knock out the Budew with the Munkidori, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I think knocking out the Budew a lot of times is just not the strongest play, especially because now they're getting Iono to a lower hand size, and they should expect that I have an Iono since I discarded my research. I just think knocking out the Budew is just a very weak play usually, and should be reserved for later. I just don't see much of a reason to knock out the Budew. It gives me a spot for like a Munkidori as well. It just, I'm not a big fan of knocking out the Budew there for my opponent. I do unfortunately have Munkidori prized in this game, as I noted down, but that's not really going to be too big of a problem. I should be able to take a 4-prize turn here and knock out all of their the Grimmsnarl line using Dusknoir plus Hawlucha, which is a good play, but it's not game winning, as they can use Devo to knock out this Dragapult and put me down to a 1 Dreepy on the board, and I can't go into a Dragapult. It'll just be they'll get more time because of if they Devo me here. So I'm just kind of figuring out how I want to do this, how it like best makes sense to navigate this like board wipe play. I Night Stretcher for the Hawlucha, which was a bit of a there was no reason really to, well, there was a reason. I do need to use the Hawlucha if I don't take the monkey off the prizes, which I do end up taking the monkey off the prizes, but I should have Dusknoired first to see if I took the monkey off the prizes, because the Hawlucha is just not super relevant if I take the monkey off of the prizes here. Just debating which Pokemon I want to knock out with Dusknoir. It's definitely the active, as it gives me the most amount of prizes, but I'm still behind, so I just have the highest chance of finding that monkey and just getting the the Luminous onto the Monkey as early as possible, because just getting the Monkey established in this matchup is just so incredibly strong, especially when you, like, there's just no risk of the Monkey really going down anytime soon. So we get the Monkey here. Then they have to pick an active, definitely the Impidimp. So I'm just going to counter catch with the Morgrim, because if I put 30 onto that Impidimp, this allows me to put a extra damage counter, or a couple extra damage counters on the board. Or no, I'm going to move it off the Shaymin to protect the Shaymin. Yes, I'm going to protect the Shaymin, and just put that extra damage counter on the Frostlass. As now all of them will have 4, all the damage is kind of evenly spread out on their board. I'm debating here if I want to put down the Dreepy. I think putting the Dreepy down here is definitely correct, as just more draw is never bad. And then I just Phantom Dive. I'm not, in the moment I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to actually close this out if the Devo play did happen. Wasn't really too sure. I knew I could probably win eventually, but I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to get there. I was thinking about Mind Bend, just like Mind Bend plays, potentially Bloodmoon, depending on what comes onto their board. They immediately put down their own Bloodmoon and attached to it, which I was a little confused about during the game. I was thought they would maybe set up 2 monkeys and knock out the Dreepy and the Drakloak, but they decided to go for the Bloodmoon plus Iono here. So they did not have the Devo in their hand. So it makes a bit more sense as to why they made this play. And they just Bloodmoon my Dragapult. So here they go down to 1 prize card, and I'm in a very strong position here because all I need is my own Bloodmoon to close this game out. Unfortunately, I'm down all of my Ball Search, and I have to just draw into my Bloodmoon, which is definitely a little scary. I have a Fez and 2 Drakloaks with 3 researches in deck, so it's pretty likely that I draw into my Bloodmoon, but it's pretty scary either way. So I start with the Fez. You always start with the Fez. Just have the most options available before you make your decisions with the recon directives. Just go into the recon directive, and I get a research. Always got the research because it's just so likely for me to hit the Bloodmoon here, which would automatically win me the game. So I attach the fire just in case I don't hit it. Just do Phantom Dive later on, just if that comes up, if they retreat or something. And then I just go ahead. I'm just thinking about it, and I just play the research. No Bloodmoon yet. I have 1 more recon though to potentially see the Bloodmoon, and I do not see the Bloodmoon, which is a pretty tragic whiff, but it shouldn't be the end of the world because they don't have any Impidimp set up. They can't like Rare Candy into a Grimmsnarl. I'm not really too sure what they'd be able to do here. I'm just like a little concerned in the moment about them having some sort of line that I don't quite see. Of course, I do have to move damage from the Shaymin so as it does not die to a Munkidori, and due to it being open list, I know they don't play a energy switch, so I know that Shaymin is safe for this turn. And I'm just kind of mulling over all the potential options they have. But I just go ahead and retreat into the Dragapult. I did this just because it was the biggest body, just the biggest thing in the active in case something happened. It was probably the incorrect play, as I mean, I don't think it really matters, but I think keeping the monkey with the energy on just in case was the correct play. But yeah, so they just Arven for an Ultra Ball. I think they're just seeing if there's any sort of outs that they potentially missed. There's the bundle, but it doesn't really change anything. Potentially hoping I whiff some sort of way to get the thing out of the active, which is obviously very unlikely, but it's worth a try. They get the Devo now, which doesn't really do much of anything. If anything, yeah, so they end up not doing it. I think they realized that just using the Devo it gave me an additional Drakloak. There's just no reason to do that. I'm just checking if Latias is in my deck. It is, so I just attach energy to the Dragapult, and I can just research for Latias, which gets me the game. I think I played the game pretty optimally, especially because I made a few mistakes in the first two games of the set, like just benching things that shouldn't have been benched. I think I learned my lesson there and played that one pretty optimally, especially because they got off to a pretty strong start, but they just weren't able to really keep it going, and whiffing the Devo on the key turn was pretty big too, and just I think there was just a lot of things. I did whiff the Bloodmoon, but yeah, them not getting the imp set up made it not really matter. But yeah, thank you for watching.